Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1635. The topic is nutrition and the title is Repetition is Your Friend. So I've been working with one of my new clients for nutrition. We did our first kind of like 2 weeks worth of check-ins. So I check in every day. Every week, but I look at what they do every single day and then give them a response. So we just had like our second week of check-ins, and their food is all over the place. Absolutely just scattered. Didn't look like they had the same meal in 14 days. And when I started talking to them, I was like, hey, our numbers are everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So our target calories, our target protein, the sugar intake, it's a little all over the place. What's up? I was like, do you find it difficult to hit the targets? What's kind of your thought process when it comes to deciding, what do I eat at this meal? And we were talking through it and we kind of boiled it down to, she had some past diets where she had to eat the exact same thing all the time and everything was very regimented, and she burned out, she freaked out. So she doesn't like the idea of not being able to have like something sweet or a treat. So she ends up overdoing it all the time. And she just kind of is really scared of getting back into regimented eating because she feels like she's just going to burn out and quit again. And I said, first of all, thank you for being honest with me and kind of talking it through with me. And sometimes people don't even know why they do what they do, so it just takes general discussion to kind of get to it. But I was saying how repetition, if used correctly, can be your friend. It can actually help you. So we don't need to feel kind of boxed in by it, but we can use it to help us create some more consistency. So consistency is by far what we're looking for when it comes to nutrition. Consistency is key. And there's a past podcast we have that'll explain that more. It's podcast 1131, and it's a nutrition podcast titled The Need for Caloric Consistency. So consistency is the key. That's going to be what helps you nutritionally reach all of your goals. So, again, if you want to find any of our old podcasts, you can go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com. On there, we have a podcast player that I think goes back 1,000 podcasts, and then we have instructions on how to find older podcasts. But podcast 1131 is, again, nutrition podcast titled The Need for Caloric Consistency. That's the first thing you're looking for. That's the first thing you have to create. And repetition can help us do that. Doesn't mean we have to be stuck by it. But repetition is actually our friend. So creating consistency by using repetition, number one, it helps us get results. It helps us actually reach the goals that we say we want to reach. And it also lowers your stress, which is very important, and actually very important for preventing burnout and creating longevity of what you can do, habitually. So consistency is awesome. Results in lower stress. Part of lowering stress is you know exactly what to do. You know what a good meal is because you're consistent, you're repetitive, and you're like, okay, I had this yesterday. I know it's a good option. So you know your options. You also know what to buy. So grocery shopping doesn't feel overwhelming. You don't end up buying things and they spoil and go bad and you have to throw them away. Then you feel like you're wasting money. Then, that's a whole spiral. You also know what to prep and when to prep. So that's very helpful. And then also consistency helps reduce cravings. By better supplying what the body needs, it stops asking for things, so you stop having senses of cravings, or at least definitely not as intense. So repetition is our friend because it creates consistency, and consistency allows us to achieve results, and it lowers stress. So what we can do to use repetition correctly and kind of in our favor is let's break down the numbers. So we want to know what our daily calorie goals are and our daily protein goals. You can go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, go to free nutrition education. The first document is a document titled Create Your Own Nutrition Program. You can view that, you can print that, go through all the steps, okay? You want to find your calories and you find your protein for the day. Then what I would like you to do is to divide your calories, your daily calories, and then divide your daily protein by 3. What that does is now, if you look at your day and you say, okay, every 5 to 6 hours of the day, I'm going to eat a third of my calories and a third of my protein. So we talk about this as like part of distribution. It's also part of that document, that Create Your Own Nutrition program. It'll talk to you about this concept of thirds, where if you divide your day up by every 5 to 6 hours, it gives you a first third of the day, a second third of the day, and then the end of the day, the last third of the day. Overwhelmingly, a lot of people have nutrition problems because they undereat during the day and they overeat at night. So by dividing your day into thirds, it helps kind of fight against that. So the first 5 to 6 hours of being awake, you have the first third of your calories and protein. The second 5 to 6 hours, you have the second third. And then the final amount of time being awake, you have your final third of calories and protein. What happens now is you plan your meal times. So within the first 5 to 6 hours, do you have time for breakfast? Maybe you have time for breakfast and a mid-morning snack. But you say, okay, these are the times I have to eat. In the first 5 to 6 hours, maybe I only have time for one meal, so I have to meet that full 1/3 of my calories and protein in that one meal. Whereas maybe you have time for a breakfast and a small little mid-morning snack, so you can divide that third of your calories and protein by 2 meals. So this is kind of what you want to go through, is you want to go through these numbers, find out your daily calories, your daily protein, divide them by 3, see how many meals you can have per 5 to 6 hour block of the day, and then divide your calories and protein up per meal. Okay? So an example is this client is our target calories, and I'm simplifying everything a little bit just for the ease of making it understandable in the podcast, but our calories are going to be 1,800 calories. Her protein is 130 grams. So we want to have 180 calories a day. Now, she actually has differing amounts depending on training day and non-training day, but I don't want to mess this up too much, make it too complicated. So we have 1,800 calories and 130 grams of protein. If we divide that by a third, divided by 3, that means every 5 to 6 hours of the day, she wants to have 600 calories and 40 grams of protein. Roughly. Now, if we look at it and we say, okay, well, what does her schedule look like? Her schedule actually is pretty open because she makes her own schedule. She's very busy, but she gets to make her own schedule. So she has a breakfast, a mid-morning, a lunch, a mid-afternoon before her workout, and then dinner. So what we find is in the first 5 to 6 hours of being awake, she can actually have breakfast and the mid-morning. So she's going to divide the 600 calories and 40 grams of protein between those 2 meals. She doesn't have to divide them equally, just divide them up between those meals. Then the second 5 to 6 hours of being awake, she has her lunch and then her her mid-afternoon kind of like a snack thing, like before her workout. And that's going to be, she divides the 600 calories and 440 grams of protein for the second third of the day between those 2 meals. Then the final third of the day, she has dinner. So she wants her dinner to be 600 calories and 40 grams of protein. So this is kind of what we did. We went through and we said, okay, for breakfast, let's make some options. Let's make 2 options. Her fast option, if she wakes up late, is she grabs a tin of almonds and a protein shake and runs out the door. Pre-made protein shake, Core Power. So she has a tin of almonds. I think they're Blue Diamond almonds that she gets off Amazon. So tin of almonds and a Core Power shake, and she just runs out the door. The other option, if she has time, is a bagel and eggs. You can toast a bagel, cook some eggs, make that relatively quick. You can have it cooked, eaten, and cleaned up in like 20 minutes. So she has that, and sometimes she'll read emails or look at Instagram or whatever. I don't know what she does while she eats, but sometimes she does that in the morning. So she has a quick option, and she has like a sit-down option. Then her mid-morning, she has cottage cheese and half a banana is one of her options. The other one is cheese sticks, which she can eat while she's also doing other things. So again, we're kind of thinking of like quick options and then more like relaxed options. Lunch, she has a Banza pasta, which is like a chickpea pasta with vegetables, and she has like a dressing she likes with that. Or she has a tuna sandwich. And the sandwich, the bread is actually gluten-free bread, which is like a brown rice mixture. So it's actually like basically tuna and brown rice. But those are, again, options that she can have eat while she's busy or sit down and eat, relax. Her mid-afternoon before she works out, she has a core power. And then her dinner, she often has is chicken and rice or bonza pasta with a cheese mix. So it's like macaroni and cheese, basically. But the bonza pasta, being a chickpea pasta, means it actually has pretty good protein to it. So these are her meals. Like she knows she has 2 options per meal that she already knows the portions of. She knows what the correct portions are in order to reach her calorie and protein targets. Now, it doesn't mean that she can only eat these meals. It just means that she knows that these meals are good. She knows the amount she should have, and she knows when to have them. So again, that's that stress reduction. She knows what to eat, what to buy, and when to prep it. Right? And that's the idea of repetition, is she can eat similar meals every day. That creates that consistency, which creates results and lowers stress, reduces cravings. But is she stuck to those meals? Absolutely not. So for example, for dinner, if she doesn't want chicken and rice or the bonza pasta with cheese, or she goes out, has a date night, or if she goes out with friends, if she's busy and has to run a bunch of errands, she knows that that meal represents the final 1/3 of her day, which represents 1/3 of her total calories and protein, which we already know is 600 calories and 40 grams of protein. So whatever she eats, she makes sure it reaches 600 calories and 40 grams of protein. If it doesn't, then before she goes to bed, she has to kind of fill in the gaps of whatever she might miss. So if she eats something that's not really high in protein, she'll have an extra scoop of protein powder or something before she goes to bed to get those numbers. But that's the idea, is repetition is your friend. It doesn't mean you're forced to stay within it. It just means that for the most part, you're consistent, you're hitting what you need to get the results, and it lowers stress. But if you need to substitute, you know exactly what to substitute with because you know your targets. You know that, okay, if I ate my normal breakfast, mid-morning, lunch, and mid-afternoon, I know then for dinner, I only have to make up that 600 calories and 40 grams of protein. I didn't screw up my whole day just because I had one meal that was off my program. I had a great day. I just have to modify and figure out what to do with that last meal to hit those numbers. So she doesn't try to manage the entire freaking day all day. She manages each third of the day. So if she knows she got her first third of the day right, her second third of the day right, then whatever she does for dinner, she only has to fix and address that 1/3. She doesn't have to go back through and figure out how many calories she's had so far today, how many grams of protein she's had so far today, because she already knows it. She already knows she met the thirds of the day. By being repetitive enough, she is consistent, and that is helping her get results and reduce stress. So this is what we talk about, and what I do with clients is we want to figure out how do we create some consistency to the chaos that is our life. Life is chaotic. Life is very reactionary and responsive. You want to try to plan and then make levels of habits, like levels of responses ahead of time. You want to try to predict the chaos as much as you can, and then try to narrow down what you have to control when the chaos comes in. So if the middle of her day gets jacked up, well, if she already had the first third of the day right, and then maybe she kind of manages the middle of the day, and then she has her normal dinner, that she already knew what the dinner should be, so she only has to fix that 1/3 that the day gets chaotic. She only has to manage 5 to 6 hours. She doesn't have to manage her whole day, right? So this is really, really, really helpful. It's great for reducing stress, which is what most people need. By reducing stress, by managing the chaos, you create more consistency and you can actually get results. Okay? So repetition is your friend. Figure out your numbers. Find your daily calories, daily protein, divided by 3. Try to get 1/3 of it throughout the day, every 5 to 6 hours. For each meal that you can have throughout the day, plan 2 options. And then if you have to make some substitutions, just know what your calories and protein are for that meal and then substitute accordingly. It sounds simple because it actually can be that simple. It's just challenging setting it up. I know that. So go to our website, go to Free Nutrition Education, click on that Create Your Own Nutrition Program document. Go through the steps that are on that document. If you need help, hire me for a month. It's just $100 for nutrition coaching. So you can get me for a month. I'll help finalize the program for you. I'll check in with you every single week and help you make these options like I did with this client. Okay? Pretty awesome service. $100. You get yourself into the groove, then you can go with it on your own. We don't have any contracts with our services. I would hope that if you're happy, you continue to work with me. If you're unhappy, I certainly wouldn't want you to be forced to do it, to work with me still. So if you need help, if you need anything, just recognize I'm always here. I'm always happy to help. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and I genuinely care about your life. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. And if there's anything I can do for that, just let me know. Okay, my email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Hopefully this was helpful. If you like our podcast, please share the podcast. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast financially. It does have a high hosting cost every year. I give an hour to it every day. I really appreciate the donations. They help cover some of the chaos of the cost. So thank you very much. If you want to donate, you can do that on our website. Even just $5 a month, it does add up and it does help a lot. If you like the information we share in our podcast, you can always find more from us on social media. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.